morning. I'm Abby Phillip in New York. Let's get right to what America's talking about. A relationship rupture between the United States and one of its greatest friends, the United Kingdom. Tonight, exclusive news CNN reporting is revealing that the UK has stopped sharing intelligence with the United States about suspected drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean. That's because the Brits don't want to be complicit in attacks it believes are illegal. That decision marks a significant break, and it underscores the growing skepticism over the legality of President Trump's war on alleged narco terrorism. But Trump has said he doesn't see a problem with it.
I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead.
The Trump administration began launching the strikes back in September, targeting boats near Venezuela, and since then it has carried out 19 attacks. At least 76 people have been killed in them. And today, the Navy's most advanced aircraft carrier strike group arrived near Latin America as Trump continues to build up his military might in the Caribbean. But in response, Venezuela says it is launching its own massive mobilization of military forces. Now, before we get started, I want to mention that Biana has a new book out, Don't Feed the Lion. It is officially out today, so please do pick it up. And Biana, it's great to have you at the table. You know, this is a pretty significant moment because prior to the United States and the UK had worked together on these types of operations where they would board the ships, they would take people, they would take the drugs, and they would try them or prosecute them. Now they are saying that this is illegal. I mean, where do you think this goes from here?
Well, it is quite stunning. You know, the two are not only close allies, but members of the Five Eyes in terms of intelligence sharing. The UK has military bases in the Caribbean, and these two leaders are quite close. Keir Starmer has been able to carve quite a close relationship with President Trump, and they speak each other's language. They've had successful meetings when it comes to relations on foreign policy related to the Ukraine war and also with trade. And yet now, when this is a subject matter that we've been talking about for a few weeks in the Caribbean, this seems to have come out of nowhere. I don't believe we've heard from Keir Starmer directly addressing this, so was this something that was discussed behind closed doors? Maybe the UK was hoping to put some pressure, not in the public eye, on the United States, asking them, what are you doing? Let's come forward together and have a discussion about what your ultimate goal here is. That wasn't happening. You heard the president saying he didn't think this was a big deal, so clearly this information came out to perhaps put enough pressure on the U.S. to say when your closest ally is doing this, something's going on.
And Jim, I mean, the UK is seemingly concerned about the legality of all of this. And you heard Trump just say there, we're just going to kill them. But that's not really how international law works. And a couple of red flags here. You know, the legal experts say that, you know, the idea of designating them as foreign terrorist organizations does not necessarily mean that by default you can just use lethal force. Some of the boats were idle or turning around. That also weakens this claim of an imminent threat. And also, the law of armed conflict does protect civilian traffickers in the sense of they have legal rights. Where does the Trump administration feel like they're getting the justification legally for
I think
this?
their response is going to be, well, how did those drug interdiction efforts work in the past? Well, they didn't. We had 100,000 people dying from drug overdoses in the country, and yet also had in my hometown of Philadelphia actually just took over an entire portion of the city. So I do think that these efforts that they're undertaking, it has to be viewed through that lens as well. What's effective?
But
And
shouldn't
in
that
this particular instance, if they're designated to be terrorist organizations by our intelligence community, you know, the fact that the UK may disagree with us on that, okay, so be it. But at the end of the day, we have to protect our country, and I think
In
that's
terms
the
of the
president's goal.
effectiveness of it, I mean, don't you also have to take into consideration what drugs are we talking about? I mean, I've asked this question every time we talk about this because it is very relevant. If we are talking about fentanyl, which is killing 100,000 people, that is not coming from Venezuela. So if it's a question of whether the previous mode of dealing with these ships has worked or not, it also matters whether or not we're talking about fentanyl or other types of drugs. And fentanyl is not coming from Venezuela, it's coming from Mexico.
Yeah.
So what is this going to do to address that problem?
I mean, as a lawyer, having studied the case with Abrego Garcia, and I know that that seems like it's totally out of left field, I think it's very relevant here. with so many people that he wanted to deport, right? He wants to be able to do it without granting them due process. And the way that he can do that is by saying that Venezuela has conducted an invasion that was sponsored by Maduro, right? There has to be some sort of provocation, and that hasn't happened yet. And so I think that this push, where he's bringing in as many ships as he can, right? That's totally contradictory to what an interdiction should be, usually, which is much smaller. I think he's trying to provoke an armed attack. I think that's what he's trying to do, so he can get away with saying that we're at war and now I can deport people the way I want to.